I am Charles, known to history as Charlemagne, or Charles the Great. I was born on April 2nd, 742, or perhaps a few years later. Even I am uncertain of the exact year. My birthplace was likely in the Frankish kingdom, perhaps near Aachen or Liège. I am remembered as the king who united much of Western Europe under one empire, ruler who revived learning and brought forth what many call the Carolingian Renaissance. Yet, my life was more than battles and politics. It was a journey of ambition, faith, and legacy. I was born into a world divided. The Merovingian kings had long ruled the Frankish lands, but real power rested with the mayors of the palace, the chief administrators of the realm. My father, Pepin the Short, was one of these mayors, but he was not content to serve as the power behind the throne. In 751, with the blessing of Pope Zachary, he deposed the last Merovingian king and declared himself king of the Franks. This act set the stage for the Carolingian dynasty and for my destiny. I grew up amid war councils and court intrigues, learning the arts of leadership, diplomacy, and combat. My mother, Bertrada of Leon, ensured I was well educated, though my formal learning was modest compared to what I would later encourage in my empire. I developed a love for Latin and, later, a desire to understand Greek. These early lessons in faith and governance would shape my rule. In 768, my father died, leaving the kingdom to me and my younger brother, Charlemagne. The division of the realm was customary, but it was fraught with tension. Charlemagne and I had little trust in each other, and the arrangement was uneasy. But in 771, Charlemagne died unexpectedly. Some whispered of foul play, though I had no hand in his death. With his passing, I became the sole ruler of the Frankish kingdom, uniting it once more. From the moment I took the throne, I sought to expand and consolidate my realm. My sword was seldom idle, and my campaigns stretched across decades. One of my greatest and most grueling challenges was the conquest of the Saxons, a fierce and pagan people to the northeast. For over 30 years, I waged war against them. They resisted fiercely, and their rebellion was unrelenting. In 782, at Verdun, I made a decision that haunts history. I ordered the execution of over 4,000 Saxon prisoners after a revolt. It was a harsh act, but I believed it necessary to secure the stability of my realm. Eventually, I subdued the Saxons and brought them into the Christian fold, though at great cost in blood and treasure. In 774, I marched into Italy to confront the Lombards, who had threatened the Papal States. I defeated King Desiderius and claimed the title of King of the Lombards. This victory not only expanded my domain, but also cemented my alliance with the Pope. To the south, I turned my attention to the Moors in Spain. In 778, I led an expedition across the Pyrenees, but the campaign ended disastrously at Roncesvalles Pass, where my rearguard was ambushed by Basques. The death of my knight Roland in this skirmish inspired the epic Song of Roland, though the poet's version is far grander than the truth. One of the defining moments of my life came on Christmas Day in the year 800. I traveled to Rome to restore Pope Leo III, who had been deposed by his enemies. In gratitude, the Pope crowned me Emperor of the Romans in St. Peter's Basilica. It was a moment of great triumph, though I later claimed to have been surprised by the coronation. I would not have entered the church, I said, had I known the Pope's intentions. Yet, the title of Emperor revived the glory of Rome and affirmed my role as the protector of Christendom. The coronation was more than a title. It was a statement that my empire was the successor to the Western Roman Empire, a unification of the Christian West under one ruler. It also placed me in uneasy competition with the Byzantine Empire in the East, which still claimed to be the true Roman Empire. I was not only a warrior but a patron of learning and culture. I recognized that my empire needed educated clergy, capable administrators, and a unifying sense of identity. To this end, I invited scholars to my court, including Alcuin of York, one of the greatest minds of the age. Together, we fostered a revival of learning and the arts. We standardized Latin, promoted the copying of classical texts, and established schools throughout the empire. This revival, later called the Carolingian Renaissance, preserved much of the knowledge of antiquity that might otherwise have been lost. I myself struggled with literacy. Though I could read Latin, I never fully mastered writing, despite keeping wax tablets by my bed for practice. Even so, my love for learning was boundless. My reign was deeply intertwined with my faith. I saw myself as a servant of God, ruling not just for my glory, but for the salvation of my people. I worked closely with the church to spread Christianity, often by force, as in the case of the Saxons. I also reformed church practices, ensuring that bishops and abbots were chosen for their merit rather than their connections. I governed my empire with a firm hand. My administration was based on the missi dominici, royal agents who traveled the realm to enforce my laws and ensure loyalty. I sought justice and stability, though I could be ruthless in suppressing dissent. I had numerous children by multiple wives and concubines. My family was both my joy and my sorrow. I groomed my sons for leadership, dividing the empire among them as my father had done for me and Charlemagne. But death claimed many of them before me, leaving my son Louis the Pious as my sole heir. I also adored my daughters and kept them close at court, though I forbade them to marry. Historians speculate on my reasons. Perhaps I feared political alliances through their husbands, or perhaps I simply could not bear to lose them. In my later years, I grew weary. The weight of empire, the unending wars, and the loss of loved ones bore heavily upon me. My health began to decline, and I turned increasingly to prayer and reflection. On January 28, 814, I passed away in Aachen, my beloved capital. I was buried in the cathedral I had built there, a lasting symbol of my faith and my legacy. I, Charlemagne, am remembered as the father of Europe. My empire laid the groundwork for the modern nations of France and Germany. My promotion of learning preserved the knowledge of the ancients, and my reforms strengthened both church and state. Yet, my empire did not long survive me. Within a generation, it was divided among my grandsons, splintering into rival kingdoms. Even so, the idea of a unified Christian Europe endured. My life was one of ambition, faith, and determination. I sought to bring order to chaos, to unite a fractured world under one crown, one faith, and one vision of greatness. I was Charles the Great, and my legacy lives on.